Hello everyone, welcome once again to the African Tech Gurus. Remember, this is your channel where learning is by doing. So today we'll be talking about the Variadic functions, and in this Variadic function, guys, what we'll be talking about is what are Variadic functions, how to declare or define Variadic functions, what is stdarg.h header file, and what are constants. That's what we'll be learning in this particular lesson. And what I will be doing is majorly on explaining to you the concept so that before you get into the task, you are now be able to understand what you will be doing. So guys, allow me to take you through. For first of all, as I said, I will begin by what are Variadic function. Okay, let's continue. So you see that these are the results that you're supposed to read. You're supposed to read this one, you're supposed to read this one and this one. But in this video, I have summarized all of them. In this video, I've summarized all of them. I'll talk about this also. And then I'll talk about the var start, var ag, and then var end, I'm sorry. So this one, I will also talk about this one, and I will talk about the constant. So I'm summarizing all the resources here. I'm summarizing in one video. So hope you will enjoy it. Let's now get into it. All right, guys, what are Variadic function? What are Variadic function? That is the first point, as I said in my outline. Then what are Variadic function, guys? So we can say that a Variadic function, in this case, in programming language, is that accepts a variable number of arguments. It is type of a function that accepts the variable number of arguments. In the case whereby the number of arguments is not kind of maybe defined, because maybe you're not saying that you're having maybe exactly two. So in the point whereby the number of arguments is variable, then we can say that Variadic functions is what is best for that case. So we say that in this case, what can I say about the Variadic function is that it means that the function can be called with any number of arguments, it including 0, 1, or even more. That's what I can say. Like it is in this category, you can call arguments which are more than 1, 0. Like it has, you are not even I can say that the number of arguments that in this case is not determined. Let me say so. Yeah. So what I can say is that it's often defined with ellipses. How do we define? Because I've just explained to you that what are Variadic functions? These are functions that are used where the number of argument is variable, or there is variable number of arguments. That is what is Variadic function. Yes, I'm explaining in simple terms like that. Then the second thing is, how do we define a Variadic function? We define Variadic function by using ellipses after the function name and before the parameters. That's what I can say. So I will show you the declaration. How do we declare the declaration of the Variadic function? So as I say that here, so let me show you. Let me maximize this a bit. Yes. Okay. So let's have and say how to declare Variadic function. How do we declare Variadic function? So let me give you an example of declaration of Variadic function. So I'll say int, and then I'll say maybe this function name. Okay, let me say my function. So it will be more my function, like that. And then I close like this, and then I say int arg, which is argument 1, then comma int arg or argument 2, like this, and then comma, and then I will use this one dot. What does it mean? Is that ellipsis. So I will use ellipsis in this case, guys. So this one is a declaration of Variadic function. What do we say? We say that a Variadic function is a type of function that has a variable number of arguments. So you can see that in this case, how do we say that the number of arguments in this case are a variable? Here you see that we only know there is one function, one argument, int argument 1, int argument 2, but there is this ellipsis here, guys. What does this ellipsis say? It says that where it says that in this case the number of arguments is a number, so it means that there's other arguments which may come in this particular case. There are other arguments which may come in. Like it indicates that the function can take a number of arguments after the first two arguments. That is, after the first argument 1 and argument 2. It can still take any number of arguments from that case. So it's not only 2 arguments, it can take more than 2 arguments in that case. All right, now let's move on. We have seen how to declare variadic function. Let's move on and talk about this. But before I talk about that, allow me to talk about the variadic functions body. So in the variadic function body, the argument are usually assessed using a special variable called the var list. It's called var list. I'm sorry. It's called var list. Like that. It's called var list. So in this case, which is defined in that here, you see this particular header file here. It is what defined this particular kind of a special variable which is being used to assess being used to assess the arguments, like I say so. So we have this particular header file here which has this special variable which defines this special variable. What the function of this special variable? It is used to assess the arguments. It is used to assess these particular arguments that are in that particular function. Yes, that's the function purpose of the var list. Then, so the var list variable is used to initialize, iterate over, and retrieve the argument pass of the function. It goes over to the function. It assess, go over, loop over it until it gets all the arguments. That's what that particular var list do. So variadic functions actually are commonly used in programming for the tasks that require a variable number of inputs. For example, the printf, you see, which takes a variable number of arguments and print them to the standard output. Yeah. So literally, I believe you are getting something that what are functions? What are variadic functions? They are type of function that takes a variable number of arguments. And then now we have the header file like this, which define a special variable called the var list. What's the function of var list? It is used to assess the number of arguments that are in the variadic function. So it loops over it. It loops over the function, trying to fetch to assess all the arguments in that particular function. I believe you understand. You have understood up that far. So if that is the case now, I understood up that far. Allow me to take you through one of the examples here, which uses the variadic function. Allow me to take you through. So I can have here, here. So in this particular kind of, let me copy it here so it will be a bit, visible right here. So copy, and then I explain it to you here. What's happening? I'm sorry. Okay. Let me escape this one. First of all, let me escape this. So okay, let's create the file name. So you can say test.c. How is it? Yeah. Yes. vi test.c, like that. Enter. Yes. I to insert mode. Then I'll copy that code here. Yes. Here's the code. It's not coming. Let me copy again. Here is the code here up to this point. Copy, and then I paste it here. Paste. All right. Now this you have the code here, and I say that this is example of a code that requires what? That uses the variadic function. So first of all, you notice that you're using stdio, and then you're using this type of header file. So this type of header file, you say that it's a type of header file that contain a special variable called the var list here. You're seeing that there's a var list here, which is a special type of variable, and this is the variable name AP here. So what does it do? It assesses through this particular function here called double. So called average. So we have double is the return type or the data type of this particular function, and then average is the function name, and then argument 1, which is in count, and then argument is ellipsis, like using ellipsis to show that this particular kind of variable can take more than one argument or any other number of arguments in that case. Then we say that this is the function we are assessing using the varlist app, that is the varlist AP, that is the variable name. And then we have the int I, and then we have the double sum. Yes, so this is what we have in this particular code. I'm explaining this particular code is an example of a code that takes that uses the variadic function. Then we will see something like var start, then var end. Yes, you might be asking what is var start and var end. I will explain to you what var start and var end means. So what I can say is that in this, first of all, the general overview of this particular code is that it takes the average, the variable number of arguments of type double. That's the first thing, and I've explained that, and it calculates the average of this number and returns the result. So what it does, the general overview of what this particular code does is that it takes variable number of arguments. After taking the number of arguments, what does it do? It calculate this the average of these numbers and return the result. That is why the return is equal to sum, the addition of all those numbers, divided by the count, how many arguments we have. Maybe assume you have 3 arguments, so it add all of them to get sum, and then count the number of that argument. How many arguments? We have 3 arguments. Maybe the sum is 20, so 20 divided by 3 to get average of around 6 point something there. Yes, so that is what this particular code does. So the first argument in this case is count, which specifies how many numbers are being passed to the arguments. So the first argument here, it is count. What does it do, this count? It specifies the number of arguments that are being passed to this particular function. And then we come to the var list type and the var start and var arg and var end. So that is the point, is that what is all about the var start, var end? Yes, what's all happening about this? So we can say that that the var end in this case, which we are seeing here, yes, is used to access the variable argument. While the var start, that is what we're having here at the top. The var start in this case initialize the var list app, the var list AP. I'm sorry, the var list AP, which is an object. So the var list object, and the which we don't have here, or not in this one. What I'm talking about this one, the var argument here is what does it do? In this case, this one retrieve the next argument. After getting the first argument here, this one retrieve the next argument, which we'll have, which is in this case this double. Yes, so it retrieve the next argument from the list, and the var end cleans. Now after now being able to cleanse all this, now this var end cleans the entire function that all argument has been assessed. So it now cleans up the list when they are done assessing it. All right, then we come now to the main function, which called the average function. What does it do? We have the double AV. What does it do? Is equals to average, which is the average function. It's called the average function, which you have here, and then give some parameters. It gives some arguments. It gives 3, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. It gives how many arguments? 1, 2, 3, 4. It gives 4 arguments. So it gives the number of arguments in that particular function. And then, so in this case, we are seeing that we are calling with 2 different set of numbers. We can see we are having this one, and then we are having this one. So we are calling with different set of arguments, meaning that that's why we say that variable. So this one initially with 4 arguments, while this one initially about how many? Around 6 arguments. Yes, so you see the difference. We are having 3 arguments at one point, we are having 6 arguments at the other end. So it's variable, like we cannot say that we only require 3 arguments or 2 arguments. So it is a variable. Yeah, after that part, I believe I've explained that. Now let's come to this point whereby we are explaining about this one. We say that this one, this is a header file, which in C programming that provide and facilitate the working with functions that take the variable number of arguments. It's only possible or good when working with variadic function, meaning that these are type of functions that take the variable number of arguments. So we say that it is used in a place whereby the function takes a variable number of arguments. It's also another name in which we refer is that we call it we also call it what? There's another name we call it called, I think, this one, if I'm not wrong. Yes. No, I think like that. Yes. This is another name for variadic function. We can call it this one or call it variadic function. Yes. So, and then we say that they are made up of different, there are things that this particular kind of header file defines. One, we have said, we have talked about, what have we talked about? We have talked about the var list, which is number one. And we have said, what have we said about var list? We have said that is a type that is used to hold a variable argument for variadic function. So maybe I can give you that it is a type that is used to hold a variable argument for variadic function. Get it again? It is a type that is used to hold a variable arguments for a variadic function. Then we also talk about the var start like this. What do we say about it? Remember, that's what we are required to learn. Var start, we say that a macro that initializes var list object. We say that we talk about initializing, that the var start initialize the list object to the beginning of the variable argument list. Then, and then we have this one now, the var arg, which a macro that this one, let me write for you here so it'll be easy. The var like this, like that. Yes. So in this case, it's a macro that retrieve. Remember, we talk about that retrieval. So it's a macro that retrieve the next argument from the variable argument list. The start, it initializes. Arg, it retrieve the next argument. After getting the first argument, it retrieve the next argument. Then we have the third one, that is var end. This var end like this. It's var end. What does it do? It cleans up the var list object after the variable arguments have been accessed. It cleans up. So the first one is hold. The second one is initialize. Third one is retrieve the next argument. And fourth one is to clean. So I believe you are able to understand all these four used function in the std stdarg.h header file. I believe you have understood that now. And we saw this about the header file. That header file, you say that it is a header file in C programming language that provide facilities for functions that takes a variable number of arguments, which is in this case, an example is the variadic function that takes a variable number of arguments. I believe you have understood all these macros here, guys. So what next? What do we say next? We are having, after this one, we talk about the constants. So let's talk about the constants now. The last thing is the constants. What are constants? Constants are examples of variables in this case, guys, that takes is a variable that its values cannot be changed. So, for example, I can say that constant, yeah. I can say constant. I'm sorry, it's not like this. It is const. Yes, I believe so. So this one, yes. So as I said, this one, we have the const int a. In this point is a declaration. So at this point, I'm just declaring it. Let me call it declaration stage. This declaration. What about initialization? If we are to initialize, we can say const like that. And then, okay, let me just explain something before I say that. Const, this one is the keyword for the constant, that is const. Yes. And then int is the data type. What data type that this particular constant will have? The int, that is the int. We can have const char, const float. So this is const int, which is the data type. And then a is the name of that particular variable. It's the name of that particular variable, that particular constant. And then is equals to, maybe I can give it 10. So what does it do? It has the constant, which is a keyword. It has the int, which is the data type. It has the a, which is the name, and it has the value. So at this point, we have initialized our constant. So at one point, remember when we were doing variables, we say that we can say int a is equals to int a, okay, let me say, use int b. So int b is equals to 5. At the same time, we can come to the second line and say b is equals to 8. And even when we come to printf and say printf like this, printf and say b, percentage is called percentage d, percentage d like that, and then we have b like that way. What you will notice, guys, here is that what will be printed out, the result will be printed is 8. That's what will be in the normal variables. So int b is 5, b is equal to 8. When we print f b, you will notice that it will print out 8 and not 5. Why? Because you can manipulate the value that that particular variable will have it. But when you talk about the constant, let's talk about the constant. Constant, if we have like this one, and say we change constant, we say int a again, int a, I'm sorry, int a again, and then we give it to, maybe give it to 12. Then we do like this, and then we do the printf. If we do the printf in this case, what will happen is that the value of a will not change. It will still maintain. Why? Because it's a constant. It tells that this particular value in this particular variable cannot be changed. Hope you understood now. Constant we are using in the case whereby we don't want to change the content of that particular variable. That is where I can say now our functions and our constants are applicable. I believe you have understood that one now. I don't think there's something I've left it out unless we go through. Yes, what are this? Okay, these are the tasks. Now, I believe you have able to understood var start. You can pause and ask yourself, what is var start? What is var this one? Var end. What do you say about var start? You know that. Var argument, you know that. Var end, you know that. Constant, you know what I mean. What do you say about this? You know that. I explain. Header file that provide the facilities for those variables which have a variable number of arguments. That's a simple explanation for that. And then what do you say about variadic function? These are functions that accept a variable number of arguments. Guys, I believe I've explained everything to my level best. All right, see you in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, African Tech Gurus. Yes, it's a blessed to be. Bye-bye.